Hi, Tom. Good
Hi,
morning
Nick.
to you. Hi.
Thank you so much
My
for
name
having
is
me on your show.
Pleasure's all mine. My name is Nicolette. I am the creator for the podcast titled You're Worthless. Read that again, the juxtaposition of your very soul. First off, thank you so much for saying yes to be interviewed today. And when I read your profile, you're a fellow podcaster. Yay!
Yeah,
High
I am
five.
indeed. Yeah, really. There we go.
Right. So, as part of the ritual for my before we start, I'm going to read a bit of an introduction to our listeners today before we go straight into business. All right. So, hi everybody. We have Tom Dardick today here with us. A bit about his background. So, when not singing and playing drums or following the NY Giants or hiking and doing yoga with his wife, Tom mostly thinks, writes, and speaks about the human condition and what we can do to improve it. His professional focus is helping people and organizations develop, specifically regarding interpersonal communication and manifesting real lasting positive change. Tom here is the CEO of Eye of Power LLC. So, what is Eye of Power? It's a personal developmental system based upon the model of the same name. Okay. So, it functions as a map, flashlight, and compass for people to better see those parts of themselves that lurk behind a conscious grasp. The benefit of this work is that we nourish those parts of ourselves that increase our agency, our ability to make desirable things happen. Tom is also a musician, drums and vocals, and author. His first novel was a hard science thriller called Sudden Onset, written with his brother and molecular biologist Dr. Chris Dardick and published by Immortal Works. Wow. Okay, Tom, I've got so many questions here, but
I'm
before
here.
that, what was it like growing up as Tom Dardick?
Growing up at Tom Dardick was I'm going to say a privilege. It's a world that sort of doesn't exist anymore in a lot of ways.
Mm.
Old enough where society has really changed a lot. We didn't used to lock our house. We didn't. When we were kids, we would be gone all day. My mom didn't think about childhood abductions or problems. As a matter of fact, if she knew what we were really doing when we were in our young days, she probably would have should have worried more because we were always getting into risky situations. We would
Trouble.
get into we would get now we I don't want to go too far into this because this is kind of a rabbit hole, but we lived in a place that we were on a lake. We had a
Right?
pond off the lake. We had meadows. We had abandoned houses. We had an old school bus full of snakes. All these kinds of places where we would
Oh
go.
God.
And
School bus full of snakes?
like an
Yee,
abandoned
yikes.
school bus in the middle of the woods. What it was doing there, I have no idea. We'd go in there and it was like full of snakes, and
Ugh. Okay.
we loved it. And so we were getting into all kinds of risk that as kids, we didn't think about it, but what we had was an innocence, and we had a world of exploration in front of us, and it's a different thing for at least my kids and most of the people I know today don't have that, the word that comes to mind is an innocence. We're connected via digital means to the world, and that brings a lot of great things, of course, a lot of blessings. But it also brings some things that are lost, where I think we don't have that same sense of exploration and um, connection to the natural world. I think is something that is not as prevalent as it used to be. So for that reason, we have a tough time finding our way and our place in the world, more so today than I think when I was growing up. And that's something that we pay a price for. And I think we need to be intentional about that playful exploration and discovery, and the humility that comes along with the fact that the world is way more than what meets the eye.
I love that. Wow. Okay. So, I'm gonna that is kind of topic that I like to talk about because my podcast talks a lot about self-worth, and of course it relates back to how I used to grow up. I mean, I'm a millennial myself. So the reason why I started my podcast is because at some point I felt lost. I don't know what to do with with myself, or it's almost like I have to lose myself to find myself again, and it's a painful experience, but also very rewarding and beautiful once you get out of it. So yes, and talking to people like yourself often gives me hope that okay, I'm not the only one feeling this way, and there's so much more than meets the eye. Like because when you're so engrossed in your own peripheral, you become, is this just it? Yeah, and well, again, coming back to technology, thank you for that. If there's no technology, I wouldn't be able to talk to you. Not in a
Exactly. So
million
it
years.
brings a lot of good things, no doubt.
Yes. Yeah, but then coming back to what you said as well, it's intentional. I think intention should form the basis of our whatever that we're trying to pursue, right? Wow, okay. Tom. Okay, can I get your take on this? How can leaders encourage their team members to embrace the changes needed in today's rapidly evolving marketplace? I mean, it's
Well,
kind
that's a
of
fan-
like a paradox of what we just talked, but yes. Let's get down to business.
this, that's a fantastic question, Nicolette. I mean, that really is, I think, one of the central questions that is becoming more and more important for leaders to face and find their way. And best I can tell, so here's why I formed the Eye of Power as a company. Here's what I think I'm doing in the world that I think is the need. The world is shifting faster and faster and faster. It's driven by the technology we talked about, the onset of AI. That technology allows us to work in hybrid and remote ways, which is wonderful. We can put a team together from people all over the world. We're not limited to the people that can drive to a place. So there's plenty of benefits, sort of like what we're talking about with the digital space, in what we're just talking about a minute ago. Um, and with increasing automation, the what it means to be productive in the workplace is a moving target. So you have all these dynamics that are happening at historically unprecedented paces. And what is that doing? One thing it's doing is it's shifting what people think of as it relates to the world of work. And it's blurring the lines of our lives. And so it's getting harder and harder to connect and to feel a sense of of shared purpose. Like we're together doing this thing together.
Individualistic?
What what's that?
Individualistic?
We
Individualism.
are more,
Yeah.
yeah, that individual is, we tend to feel more isolated, and
Yeah.
it's sort of in that way that you were describing when finding your way in the podcast and so forth. I mean, we all are like that no matter what our pursuit is. So leaders need to become, they need to have ways to um, get people to understand what matters more than what. So in other words, it can't just be we bring random people in and we do this thing, and it's more the world of work has historically been transactional. I get these
Yeah.
skills, you think I can do them, you pay me, I do them for you. Um,
Right.
that's the calculus of it. That's no, I don't think that model is holding up. It's fraying at the edges, and because the skills are a moving target, we're going to have AI be able to do more and more of the things that humans used to be able to do. And what's left? What's left is the actual experience of people working together, connecting with relationship, and serving and gaining meaning from using whatever it is they're bringing to the table in a way that benefits other people. So leaders need to be like conductors of orchestras to get people to see their gifts, develop those gifts, put them to good use, and get them sort of aligned so we're all serving a shared mission. So that's the framing of what I think leaders have to do. How do you do that?
Yeah,
Well,
that's my next
you
question.
have to first thing is you have to know what that mission is and really have that be clear and live to the bone. So we need the passion for what we're doing. That's one thing that you're not going to get automated, right? That passion and
Right.
that feeling, that is something that is a human thing. And so we need to fuel those flames of passion. What is that? Well, what it isn't is you do this for me, I give you money, thanks, bye. Uh,
Yeah.
that's not real. That transaction is not real passionate. What's passionate is, wow, you made a huge difference in this. Thank you so much. I really, you, you are a superstar because you have this particular thing. You are worthy and you are enough in your background there. These are things that people that fuel our souls and move us to feeling like we matter and we're seen. And that's really, if I had to answer your question in a short form, what I'd say is you need to be able to see people and teach them to see other people. See them for who they are. That's what I would say is the magic formula.
Yes. Thank you, Tom. You put that lens over to my and you connected it to the question and your answer. So, this is a bit of a different trajectory, but I guess it will somehow sum up to what the whole topic that we're trying to get here today. So, say a person, he or she has been stuck trying to make a change, right? You said here, lose weight, stop a bad habit, start a good habit, change careers, etc. What can that person do to finally make that desired change stick?
Oh, that's just a little question you threw out there, right? that
Yes. I'm
that to
gonna
me is the
repurpose this.
purpose of the Eye of Power. I call it a protocol now. And the
Mm-hmm.
protocol is using the model. Oftentimes, I have on the green screen. I'll actually have a picture of the model behind me,
Right.
and because it's not super complicated, but it's also not simple and quick to explain. But what it really is a way for us to see those parts of ourselves, Nicolette, that otherwise we don't see very clearly. So I ask people, how you ever make a New Year's resolution? And people will
Me?
say, you or somebody
I
else,
used to.
anybody.
I used to, but now
Yeah.
not
And
anymore.
then I say, and not keep it. And of course,
Yeah.
most people can relate, right? That they've decided to do something and not follow through. And I say,
Mm,
why?
mm,
Why can't you just decide to do something and then know 100% you're going to do it and that's that? And of course, the answer to that is complicated, but it's some manner of the fact that we should think of ourselves more as like the iceberg, where what we see is above the water, but there's a whole bunch of the iceberg, close to 90% of it, that's actually below the surface that we're really not that aware of. And it's in that 90% that has conflicting priorities, interests, values. Um, we're not congruent. We have parts of us that want this, another part of us wants something that's not compatible with that. And we're at these loggerheads and conflict. So at our conscious mind, we say, of course I want to be healthy. But there's the 3-year-old in there that says, I want my ice cream. And until we do the work that brings these parts of ourselves in congruence is the word I use, in alignment, that are moving in the same direction, that want the same things, we're going to lose power. We're going to lose our personal agency, not be able to do exactly what we want and manifest the life that we want. So this is not something that everybody can just do, or that we should be expected to just do 100%. This is what one of the businesses that we have in life. This is part of what we're supposed to be doing here is doing that work and getting ourselves toward in that alignment and congruence towards something. That's what the reason I say that is because that's what fuels our sense of meaning and purpose. So how do you do that? Well, there's two big problems in our way. There's more than two, but there's two real big ones. One
okay.
is that we are beings of limited perceptive power. We don't see everything. What we experience in the world is a small sliver of what the world actually is. Whether we're looking at the, at light, we're seeing a small sliver of that band. Listening, we're seeing we're listening to a small areas, lots of things we don't hear. Um, Smell, we're practically blind compared to some animals. I mean, we
Yep.
can barely smell at all compared to a bloodhound. Um,
True.
and also not even all that, but also in what we're even processing in our minds is always just in a narrative form. It's just a
Fraction.
story that
Mm.
we're telling, and it's our story. It's part of a story. It has meaning and purpose and value, but it is always a small portion of what the world actually is. And for that reason, we have blind spots. We cannot see what we can't see. And this is and this sounds like maybe a tragedy or a problem, but it's actually a beautiful thing when you think about it, because if we have blind spots, what that means is that we need other people. We need to we need to communicate and cooperate with other people in order to see that which we cannot see. So the idea of of the individual going through and working by themselves and keeping all their vulnerabilities to themselves and not opening up and secrets and being ashamed of parts of ourselves. This is not the path to power.
Insecure. Yeah.
What's that?
Security. Insecurities.
The insecurities. These are the things that
Yeah.
keep us from our power. The
Mm.
path to power is pockmarked by being willing to be vulnerable, by cultivating the courage to lean into our fears and do the thing we want to do anyway, but we know that's right anyway. To 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 get comfortable with discomfort. To see the other people that we don't understand, maybe even don't like, and
Yeah.
say,
And see it
what
as
lessons
it
do
is without any judgments. Just, yeah.
to say, look, this person bothers me. I don't like what they're saying, but what are they seeing that I'm not seeing?
Exactly.
And get in
Yes.
the habit of
Yes.
incorporating that. And then this is the path towards more power, because you're seeing that which you're otherwise blind to seeing.
Mm.
And so your blind spots are shrinking, and your perceptive power is growing. A lot of our personal power and our ability to make those changes you asked me about, Nicolette, is related to our perceptive power. So we need to think of ourselves as part of a whole, not as this individual one thing. That's a very limited perspective. And we have to understand internally we're a multitude, and
Exactly. Yeah.
and working in the world we're a multitude when we're cooperating with others. And that's really, again, this is to me evident, because when we're doing that it feels good, and when we're cut off from that it feels bad. So that to me is a feedback loop telling you, hey, do more of what's good and not so
Yeah.
much what's
Do more
bad.
what's good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Connect. Go out
exactly.
there. I
Yeah,
mean,
so that's problem number
yeah.
one. I didn't even get to problem
Mm.
number two.
Oh, okay. Problem number two. Yes.
Yeah, so probably I kind of did, because it's with that other people. We can't do it ourselves. So that means that we really do have to work with other people, and have to lean on other people. So we have to realize that this is a team sport. Yes, it's what matters to you. Yes, you have your individual, and then nobody has it but you, and that's a beautiful thing. And you are do best when you understand what that individuation is, cultivate it, develop those things, and put them to service for other people. But you do it in that concert way, so that you're seen and that you're seeing others. And this is what infuses our life with beauty and experience.
Beautifully. I mean, it's like just simple things. People do not want to go out there simply because they're just scared of what people might think of them. And I used to think about it that way. It's like, oh, what if I get judged for doing this? What if I'm here, if somebody's here, if I ask for help for somebody that's, here, what would they think of me, that I'm not capable? And
Yeah,
those kind of dogma or stigma that people have, and that's but I also see like a spectrum of it. People are awakening, like, you know what, and people have the humility to just be vulnerable, like, hey, I don't know how to do this, I'm stuck, just, can I get some of your insights, can you share, what do I need to do, and yeah, or just, I don't know, like, I don't know, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, the things that you're listing there, Nicolette, are the blocks that hold us in place.
Mm,
So when we feel vulnerable, when we feel self-conscious, we're sort of focused
yeah,
internally, and the path forward from there is to turn your focus from inside to outside. Now, you have to start inside. I'm not saying that you don't self-examine and that you don't have a realistic picture of yourself. That's not what
yeah,
I'm saying. But what I'm saying is you accept the part, because look, everybody has, you know, I'll say it this way. You might not be the smartest. You might not be the
yeah,
fastest. You might not be the
yeah,
most coordinated. You might not be the prettiest. You might not be the
yeah,
most fashionable. You might not be the most read. You might not be the most empathetic. But there's a combination of attributes that only you have that unlock doors that no one else can open but you. And your job is to figure what that combination is, to explore and play enough in the world to discover those things that and develop those things. And it's not a secret. Where your mind goes is are the clues. Where what you care about, what gets you fired up. That's where your passion is. Those are like markers to lead you in the right direction. So what you need to do is lean into that, develop those things, and then find your sort of special brand, your sauce. And once you have that, get out of the comparison game. Everybody has it. So you're now just you. And yeah, you're going to have pimples. You're not going to be as tall as somebody. You're not going to be as fast as somebody. Somebody's going to be a supermodel. Somebody's going to be rich. So what? You're you. They're not you. There's aspects of them that are amazing, and there's aspects of them that suck. And so this comparison game is a trap. And you need to lean into yourself and then figure out, okay, how can I enhance the needs and serve the people around in a way that they like?
using your
And then
set
put
of
your
attributes that are unique to you only.
yes. And when you lean into that and you look through that lens,
Mm.
that and that's the lens you look at. So if you're trying, so you mentioned podcasts, we're both podcasters starting a podcast. There are people that, am I going to ever get to Joe Rogan level?
I was just
Let's
thinking
not,
about him.
right? Let's not pretend like that's a thing, right? I
Hmm.
mean, we're not walking the same path. It's a stupid it's a waste of energy to make a comparison like that and say, okay, I'm failing because I'm not Joe Rogan, right? It, I have to figure out how to be the best Tom Dardick. You have to figure out
Yeah,
how to be the best
exactly.
Nicolette.
Nicolette, yeah.
And that's the path to your success. And how many
Mm.
listeners? That's a variable, right? If you're, how much money you get as a stream, variable, and how important that is, variable. It's it's the passion and it's the affecting. And if you're affecting one or two other people, it's got value. It doesn't, the bar does not have to be million people or even 10,000 or even 1,000. It's who you're serving that's around you and seeing you and who you're momentarily connected with. That's where the magic is. That's where the intention needs to be. And everything else is noise.
Wow. Thank you, Tom. What are the major ways we unknowingly give our personal power away?
We've hit on a few already. The
Mm-hmm.
comparison game is a big one. In the model I have, it's designed on what I call the power grid, which if you think about it, our personal power, what is that? It's what we can do in the world. Well, what does that mean? Well, to start with, we're either doing something, taking some sort of action, or we're thinking.
Yeah.
Thinking is related to action. What we do is affected by what we think. What we think is
Mm-hmm.
affected by what we do. So that's one
Yeah.
continuum. The other continuum is that action and that thinking can be either directed towards ourselves inward or outward towards other people. That's another continuum. So that creates what I call a power grid, and that creates four quadrants. So this is the start of the Eye of Power model. So within each one of those quadrants, they have different dynamics that emerge. So I've identified four layers of these dynamics, and you just asked me about one of them, which I call the four corruptions. It's in the middle. The four corruptions are those forces that hold us in place. So there's a different force for each one of those quadrants. So the and one quadrant is the actions we take that are directed towards ourself. So that's what I call the pain quadrant. And that the corruption in that quadrant is something you already pointed to, Nick. It was um, consternation, is what I call it. It's a type of fear. It's a type of thing that says, if, like, what if people don't like me? What if I try this and I'm judged? What if that's consternation? So the more energy we put in there, the less energy we put towards the passion, the project, the taking the action thing, and we bleed power that way. Moving down to the next quadrant is it's still going to be directed towards ourselves, but rather than our action, it's more of our perceptions and our thoughts about ourselves. So I call that the perception quadrant, and the corruption in the perception quadrant is something I call confusion. Confusion is that lack of clarity between what matters and what doesn't. Maybe my self view, maybe what I think um, is true and right about myself. And to the degree I don't see clearly, I'm not able to navigate that perceptive water to get past the blind spots that I have, listen to other people, um, have even the desire and hunger to learn something. It holds us in place. Then moving around really quickly, uh, we stay in our thoughts, but now we think about our attitude towards other people. So this is people use the word judgment, but I don't think judgment is the proper word because um, we can't not judge. If we have values, we have to judge. This is better than this. This is better than that. This person's doing this. So judgment's not optional. It's actually something we need to get good at. But what the trap is there is condemnation. And condemnation is a special type of judgment that says, I'm
I
judging
judge.
and I'm putting you away. I'm
Yeah.
sending you
Yeah.
out of my circle. It might be an idea, but in this case, it's a person or a people or something like that. You're not welcome. You are out.
Yeah.
And and sometimes we do have to condemn. If somebody's a threat to us physically, somebody is going to harm or do something. We there's times for it. But in general, with the kind of condemnation that limits our personal power is that knee-jerk reaction that says, I don't like that kind of person, or they're saying something that rubs me the wrong way, or it's a rejection that says, okay, you said that, therefore you're a this, therefore bye.
Therefore, bye.
That's that we lose power that way. Then the
Mm.
final one is in the quadrant that is our actions towards other people. I call that the purpose quadrant, and the corruption there is called carelessness. It's a form of apathy. So when we don't feel connected to our unique set of gifts, we're not really evidently putting them to service for other people. We wonder about ourselves. We wonder, like, what am I? Who am I? Where do I begin and end? These wonders that we have, it creates this sense of I can't really contribute. I don't really find a way to actually gain any sort of meaning. So I gain this carelessness, this apathy is really the word. But if you notice, they all start with C, so I use carelessness to keep it all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but it's really the type of carelessness that's apathy. That is, I'm not connected to a sense of purpose. I'm not connected to how I serve people or how I am unique in the world and how I contribute to people, and therefore I lack energy. I lack a sense of will to go towards a goal, and I can just be sort of blown by the wind and whatever. And that's not a powerful place to be either. So those are the four sort of things that we have to get past in order to move our power forward.
So, if somebody, so what is your service model to people? Or to
So right now,
organizations.
so the
Yeah.
Eye of Power is brand new. So I'm working with organizations. In the
Right.
future, and actually, as I built the model over the past few years, I did actually picture it as a online thing that individuals could do, and I will get there. But to build it as a business, I needed to focus on organizations. Why? So I can monetize it and grow the and actually grow
Yeah.
the infrastructure of it in a way that's sustainable is why I have to
Yeah.
do it this way. But also I'm very passionate about the corporate model, and because it's a protocol. I call it a protocol. And what does that mean? That means that it's a systematic look through the kinds of lenses that we've been talking about, Nick, where a team goes through this together. And so they look through a lens, like in the beginning of a week, you look through this lens. It's a 20 or 30-minute sort of rundown on what this lens is. Then they're challenged to say, okay, in light of this, what action, small action, am I going to do different as a result? And they pick what I call a SIA, a sustainable incremental action, and something they can and will do in bite-sized chunks over the week to come. But you don't do it by yourself. So everybody who's in the program functions as a guide. I call it a guide. And so when I make that decision of what I'm going to do different, I do it in concert with somebody else who's functioning as my guide and I say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. What does success look like here? What does failure? And so we get an agreement there. Then the following week comes, another week comes, we look through another lens, but before we do that, we talk with the guide, and the guide says, how did it go? And so the guide has three choices. Green, you're doing it and things are going. Yellow, you're doing it and it's not going as well as I'd hope. I had setbacks. I'm trying, it's not swimming. It's one step forward, two steps back, or something got in the way, or I tried this and it didn't go the way I wanted it to, something like that. And the final one is red, didn't do it. And it doesn't matter what the excuse is. I had a project come up, I was sick, I went on vacation, none of that matters. If you didn't do it, it's still a red. So
Yeah.
this is a system of accountability that works. And then also you have a guide, but you're also guiding somebody else. So you're doing the same thing for another person. So what this has the effect of is everybody's applying the lens to themselves, and we don't say you have to apply it to something at your work. You're the judge of what is the priority to apply it to. It's anything in your life that you want to move. So we're working out our change muscles, and we're working out our empathy and connection muscles in a way that we support and mentor other people through this. It's 16 quadrants in the model, so there's 16 weeks, 16 lenses that we're applying and going through in a psychologically healthy direction that's gaining our personal agency and our power, fueling our sense of the flames of our passion as it relates to our shared mission, and getting us emotionally connected as a team together doing this forward. So I see it as a scalable, sustainable protocol that we can just map onto whatever else we're doing together to fix some of these problems we started talking about.
I love that. Because when you're thinking of when you were listing out, mentioning all those things just now, something just popped into my hand because I just exited my 9 to 5, so I'm about to jump into my own thing, therapy and
Wow.
coaching.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. In the words of Marissa Peer, don't say you're scared, but say you're excited. So I'm
Beautiful.
excited, Tom.
I love it. I love it.
And just before leaving the company, we had an external trainer come in and say, okay, well, to look at the problem that my previous team had, everybody is not in. Basically, we had some new people leaders coming up to lead, and the management just wanted them to get into the same bandwagon and see, okay, what is this, how are we working so that we can support the overall organization goals. And the trainer that came, he came and talked about the internal intrinsic value that we have. So and I was just thinking when you said it, it's like, okay, it will, you see, the change is not gonna take effect immediately. Although for me, I want it, like I want it now. Like when you're aware that, okay, you know where this is gonna go, you know how the target is gonna hit in the next, I don't know how it's gonna affect our bottom line and all those things. But we cannot, sometimes I feel sad because sometimes we the way we perceive it, some other people will not perceive it at the same level that we perceive it, and for them it will take time to realize and enact that change, and both from an individual level and collectively as a function, and then an organization. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is change management is really, I think you're the expert, but from my experience, being coming from a consultant background and back to the commercial, consultant, you're selling services, it's fine, you sell and then you come in, you implement, but then that's it, you give the ball back to the people who hired you. But then when you're in that, the when on the flip side, you're the one receiving sort of, what do you call that, proposed changes. It's so hard. Like I experienced it, like trying to publish like a project, and getting that buy-in. It's so difficult. And it's, that's one. And then number two, it's the again, it's all a moving part. One for the betterment of the I don't know, efficiency of, say, like a shared service center, and the other one is, yeah, eventually it all comes down to productivity, efficiency, and then that will translate to your bottom line. So I don't know, Tom. Like I am a person who believes in change, real lasting change. But sometimes it gets very demotivating when you think that you're the only one that can see it. When you think that you're alone.
Well,
Yeah.
you've put a lot of clay on the table there, Nicolette. I mean, um, and I'm smiling because you kind of put your finger right on one of the big problems we have. And I've been a consultant for full time for over 20 years, and I do
I
not like
yeah.
I do not like the name consultant for the very reason that you just pointed to. It's the easiest thing in the world to come into somebody else's party and say, "Well, here's what you got to fix." And give
Yeah.
them a thing to go, and then you go on your merry way and go to the next person and give them
Exactly.
another
And
thing.
I don't care if
Meanwhile,
it
they
gets
got to
done
sit and
or what.
stew
Yeah.
in the and I absolutely hate that. And
Yeah.
so for that reason, my consultancy has always been about trying to connect people to purpose, because purpose is what
Mm.
lasts. Purpose is what gives you the
Yeah.
energy to make those changes. Purpose is what
Yep.
fills our sails up with wind and gives us motion and direction. So
Mm.
it's that's the magic ingredient. Now, having said that, you put your finger right on the of the other problem, which it's the function of leadership, because some will, some won't, and there's nothing any leader can do about that. And so what I tell people is, you've got, first of all, as a leader, you've got one thing to start with, and that is status quo's got to go. In other words, we're here, we've got to be over there. And so you have to paint that vision in a compelling way. Not everybody's going to buy this vision. The people that do are on the boat. Those are the people that you lean into and you nourish and bring along with. But you've got to be really good at painting that future vision of where that other promised land is. So that's job number one. Job number two is insisting that people meet whatever the stand. So what I say is status quo's got to go, and you have two choices. As somebody on the team, if you're in the boats, you got two choices. And I'm saying this to the leader. You can change your people, or you can change your people.
Oh,
Change
I like
you,
that.
The first one's up to them,
I like that. Yeah, I
right?
like that. You can change your people or you can change your people.
Exactly. So
That's
the
a
first one's
clever
up to
way to
them.
put it.
You're saying, look, you're a work in
Yeah.
progress, girl.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
you. You're great the way you are, and you're not staying the way you are. You're growing. We're going to develop. You're gonna lean into your gifts, and you're going to become the more
Yeah.
fully expressed version of yourself. And this mission's the
Mm.
place for you to do that. When leaders do
Mm.
that, they're gonna create superstars. When they don't do
Yeah.
that, they're bleeding energy, they're bleeding passion, they're leaving people behind.
Mm.
Then what you just said is the other one where uh, some you can help them, you can lean into, you can love them, you can give them everything, every tool in the world. It's still up to them. So if they say no, I won't go, you know, we're going. So, 1, 2, 3, you're out. I mean, and you're going to live into the people that are going with you, and you give people chances. But I don't. I think people give leaders give people more chances sometimes than they should in a way. In this way, it's you got to be clear and adamant. You got to say, look, here's what it is. Here's the standard. Here's what it is. Boom, boom. 1, 2, 3. If you're not doing it, you're not doing it. And to hope that someday they will, I don't think that's a good strategy. I think you have to hold those standards. So why? So people are clear and they know what it is. They know and then you get a culture of respect and trust. Then you get a culture of people that want to go on the trip and are actively helping each other do it, rather than doing everything they can to slow the brakes down to that you can't have it. You just can't have it. So that's how you deal with that. And that's also why I've built my model the way I have. Uh, because it's not me coming in and telling you what to do. It's your people going through these lenses and helping each other make these changes and go. So it's sustainable. It's something you can just keep doing over and over and over, and it becomes part of the landscape of that organization that we have these open, honest conversations that are challenging, working on the things that matter most to people. That's the kind of culture that's going to be ahead in the end.
I wanted to ask you about how can leaders systematically elevate the culture of their organization in the 21st century, and I think you just answered all of
That's
it.
that's the best way I can figure so far. If I come up with something new, I'll let you know. But I
Fantastic.
can't think of another, because here's the other problem.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what the organization is, everybody in that organization has a to-do list. And that to-do list is longer than the hours they have in the day. So it's that busyness that is never going to be done. It's always going to be something that I should be doing, and it'll
Yes.
take as much of your will. Any organization, even just a band of one, it'll take as much as you got plus. So
Yeah.
so that's like this baby bird, gaping maw that just wants the next worm, wants the worm, and you can feel this anxiety. I've got to feed it, got to feed it, got to work faster, got to work harder, got to, and some people thrive in that, but a lot of people feel burnt out by that. And so you
I
have
was.
to, there you go. So what you have to do is you have to understand that it's sort of it's the Pareto's law, the 80/20 rule, where it's like you have to put your attention on the 20% of the things that make 80% of the difference, and focus there. And part of what's in that 20% is what Stephen Covey used to call sharpening the saw. Uh, but however you want to call it, it's developing those gifts. So to me, it's that function of tomorrow I'm going to be better than I am today. And that has to be in that 20%. If you let the things that are in the 80% on your to-do list crowd that out and never get to it, you are going to be way, way behind than if you would.
You're gonna flip it 80/20.
You're going to
You're
go,
doing
yeah,
so much, but
exactly.
you're
So
only
now you're
you're
going to,
even getting 20% done, 10% done even.
you got it. And you're going to feel like you're spinning your wheels. You're going to feel like
Oh
you're
yeah.
not as fulfilled as you could be. You're going to feel like you're going to play that negative spiral game of you're just not feeling good about yourself. And
I'm not good enough for this. Why
all
is
that.
I'm not accomplished? Like, why can't I? Yeah, yeah,
If
all
you
those
look at the
things.
best, to me, I look around at successful people that inspire me, and I say, okay, who's living the way that I think is the highest and best way?
That's a
Those
good
people
way
get
to
a
put it.
ton done, but they're never really frantic or busy. If you call them up, they answer the phone. If you ask them for a meeting, they have time for you. If they want to do something, they can go do it. This is the to me that's the highest part. Where you're in charge of your day, your world, your life. That to me is is a mark of mastery. Feeling like I have no time for anybody, get on my
Mastery,
calendar,
yeah.
see my, blah, 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 I'll talk to you in a month. That's not the highest. There's room for growth if that's you.
Wow. Wow. That just poof. How can I get my team to better leverage the emerging AI driven tools to improve their effectiveness and efficiency?
Well, I think that to me, you start with them as individuals, right? So what you need to do is, again, I go back to the process I described. They have to decide. Look, it's a reality that you're either going to get on this change train with the AI or you're going to be left at the station. And there's going to be a lot of people left at the station, and that's going to be a big problem throughout the world. There's but we already and that gets a lot of the press and a lot of we talk about this a lot because it's important and it matters. Um, but I think focusing on that obscures the problem that has already existed for a long time, and that is that throughout the world of work, over half of the people are not engaged, and another 25% of the people are actively wanting out of whatever the situation is. So you've got 3 out of 4 people worldwide that are not feeling fulfilled in the thing that they do full time as a professional, whatever that is. It doesn't matter what level we're talking about. You're exchanging your time, 30 to 40 or 100 hours a week, whatever it is. You are in that Faustian bargain saying, here's my life, here's my time, here's what I'm getting back. And 75% of the people are not having their soul filled through that. And that to me is a gap that
Tragedy.
is super, super harsh as it relates
Yeah,
to the highest
it is.
levels of human experience and cooperation and um, levels of fulfillment that we can actually possibly reach. So I feel like there's this huge gaping sore in the world that really needs to be addressed, and it's in the way we've been talking about, taking our inventory and finding our unique gifts and putting them to service to other people. AI is just like a supercharged tool that allows us to do more in a shorter amount of time, to see things that we otherwise might not have considered, to automate processes that allow us to leverage. So rather than having to hire a team of 3 or 10 or 100 or 1,000 people, I can just go and automate these things. And just me, I can do. I took an AI mastery course as a 6 month course, and one most of which is obsolete now. But but um but but what I took away from that is they predict, within the foreseeable future, there'll be $1 billion company with 3 people in it. So, this is the impact of AI, and so as a leader, what I would say to that is you need to inspire people to have a self vision of their unique gifts and how they're put to service in the world. Constantly expand that view. Let them see the tools that can do that and leverage, and let them be the you're not saying you got to use this tool. You're saying to get to this place you want to be, here's something you might use. And they're the ones that say, wow, this is awesome. And say, yeah, here, cool, try this. And together we're getting that much better.
Really insight, Tom. I'd hire you if I have my own company.
iofpower.com. You can
Okay,
find
Tom.
me
So what
there.
is yes, yes, I will. I mean, people who's listening, I bet some of them this would just get into their head and I'm like, oh, okay. I gotta get to Tom. So they can go to your website and
But I'll
then
tell you something else. This is
yeah,
something that a little self-serving, but I wanted to share a little bit of my model of growth because it
sure.
it it applies to perhaps you, but somebody who might be listening is I'm not trying to build the eye of power for Tom Dardick and to try to build this big empire. I'm 62 years old. I'm not trying to build this huge thing that I can be, some person on top of a pyramid kind of a thing. That is not what I'm trying to do at all. That holds very little appeal to me. What I'm trying to do is take this model, take a protocol, share it with the world, partner with people. So if there's consultants that say, "Hey, this is a cool thing." All right, cool. Take this to the people in your circle that you know. The revenue, we'll
Right.
share the revenue, whatever. But it's a way for consultants to not have that transactional thing where here's my thing, here's the program you're buying, hire me for this one person or this team, and I'll work with them for this X number of time and then go away, which is sort of the state of the art. Um, Rather, it's I'll help you help yourself by having this protocol that just elevates over time and becomes part of the culture of your organization that iterates over time, gets better and better. And I'm there just as a supportive kind of tool to help your people just live a better way. And that's what I'm hoping to get. So I'm looking for partners worldwide to take this protocol to just go out there and do it. That's more of how I'm trying to spread it.
Beautiful. What is next for you, Tom?
Well, when you start an organization such as we've described so far, that does have that to-do list that's 3 days long and you got a day to do it in thing. So I've actually been simplifying my life a little bit. You in the intro, you mentioned I'm an author and a musician, and so
Musician, yeah.
yep, my last public gig with my band will be April 6th, next Saturday. Um,
Oh,
there's a
awesome.
couple other private gigs that I'm going to play, but I told the guys I can't be scheduling out into the future with all these gigs. So they've been working up some replacements for me, and so the band will continue, but not with me. And so that's one, and that's a bittersweet thing for me because I love it and I love playing music, and I'm saying no to something that I love. Um, and but in order to put myself in the position to feed this new baby with the eye of power. Same thing with my book. Sudden Onset is a it's a novel that I'm very proud of. There's a sequel. My brother Chris and I have plotted out the sequel. I've written maybe a third of it, but it's on
Wow.
hold until I build the eye of power to a level that it's gonna sustain on its own. And then once that happens, I do plan on going back to my creative passions in writing and in music. But I'm in that phase right now, that season right now, where I've got to focus on the main thing and make that be the thing. So I've got some partners coming on. I've got organizations that I'm rolling out programs with, and I've got to be the motive force to get this baby born. So that's where I've got to put my attention.
I'm rooting for you, Tom. You
Thank you,
got it.
Nicolette, and you're helping me too, just by inviting me on your show and having this conversation. So, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much.
Thank you for the work that you do, Tom.
It's an honor.
Remarkable. Okay, Tom, I'm gonna pivot to a self-worth question because my podcast talks a lot about self-worth. So, question for you, Tom. Is self-worth a constant state or can it fluctuate over time? How can individuals navigate these fluctuations and maintain a positive sense of self?
Okay, some of what I've said already, I think, is responsive to that, but I'll that question in and of itself is, I think it's an excellent question in one hand and a trap in another way.
Yeah, because it's like one or the other.
Well, when we get into the worthy game,
Mm-hmm.
the big trap there is compared to what,
Mm,
right?
mm-hmm.
Compared to what? So we will look around, right? Because if I say I'm fast or I'm slow, I could say both. I could say I'm fast and I could say I'm slow, right? I'm fast compared to a slug. I could crush a slug. I could run like and then got out of the gate and I'm way, right? But compared to a cheetah or Usain Bolt or a plane, I'm a slug, right? So the comparison game is really a kind of a losing. it's not losing because we do have to compare. Again, I say we do have to judge, we do have to have values. If one thing's important that and another thing isn't, we do have to kind of play that game. But the trap is compared to what? And that's one thing that when people are out of whack, it's because their metrics and their comparisons are not properly or not optimally is it's not proper, it's optimally. It's not optimally thought out. So you have to so if you're in the space where you're beating yourself up, let's say, you're in a place where you've been made to feel less than for whatever reason. Uh, your parents or a teacher or a boss or a friend or somebody has said something that really cut you to the bone that makes you feel like I'm going to start crying, makes you feel that you're less than in some way. That's their perception. That's something that is maybe true from whatever they're saying, but it's just a metric that they're using. It's not deeper reality. It only has the meaning and significance that you decide to put into it. So you're the one that's the author of your story. You're the one who gets to say, this is part of my story, or this affects my story in this way, or I'm going to learn this. They have a good point in this way, and I could change that. Or look, this is out of my control. I'm not going to put energy. I'm 5'3". There's nothing I can do to be 6'3". I'm not going to put any energy in that because there's nothing I can do. So thanks for the help. No thanks. Right? Somebody who's making you feel less than, right? Because truthfully, they're not trying to help you. They're trying to help themselves feel better by making you feel worse. That's just that, that it's an ugly aspect of human nature. We all do it to some degree, so we can be graceful and understand that they're hurting. Hurt people, so they're hurting you because they're hurting themselves. And this is a transaction among human beings that's constant and it's not going anywhere, unfortunately, but that's just how it is. So, but we do have the power to rise above it. And the way we rise above it, to answer directly your question, is you're worthy, right? You're already worthy. If you exist, you're worthy. So it's a matter of leaning into those things that you and you alone have. That's how you do it. And if somebody makes you feel bad about that, you take whatever might be factual. They remember, we have blind spots. They might be seeing something you don't. So I'm not saying you say it has no meaning or purpose. That I think that's also not optimal. But if they're saying you should be taller, you should be prettier, you should be this or that, that's not of use. That's the things that you can't control. That has really no value to you. So that's the chaff. But you do look for the wheat and say, okay, you know what? That person said I should be more empathetic. Where am I? Where am I cold? Where's my blind spot here? Where am I should not taking somebody else's story into account as much as I should? Then now they're helping you. They might not even been trying to help you. They might have been trying to hurt you, but you could still take value from that exchange. And if you just start with the glass is way more than half full, right? You are already worthy. If you've been given gifts, you're you. There's nobody but you. That's it. Just you. We're all the same and we're all unique snowflakes, right? Like
Yeah.
the pattern is just
Yes.
you, right? We're all human beings. We're all connected. We're all part of the same thing. So if you're a human being, you're in the club. And then nobody else is you. So that's it. There's no more justification than that. So the worthy aspect is just a shell game in a way that says, okay, compared to this, you're that. Compared to this, you're that. And so I just say, check your metrics, check what you're comparing to, and you really should be comparing yourself to the best version of yourself that you can be, so that you can work systematically to be the most fully expressed version of yourself. And you're very welcome. I love this. I mean, to me, this is the center of the bullseye for what life is about, right? Because we have all this noise, all this crap. I mean, your questions are about that, right? All this bullshit that we
Yes.
have to deal with. And I say that dismissively, and that's actually not optimal either, because everything exists for a reason. Creation is beautiful, right? There's nothing that's not there for some reason. And so when I say it's when I dismiss it like that, that's actually less than optimal. What we really the more optimal thing to do is to say it's there to serve this purpose, and this purpose is useful over here, but it's not useful over here, so I'm not going to invest energy there. And you're more judicious about where you're investing your energy.
Ooh. What is your heart's greatest wish, Tom?
Well, along the lines that we're talking about here, I'm on a journey. I consider myself a bit of a late bloomer in the sense that I've been limited in a lot of ways. I've been less purposeful or less energetic or less more willing to just give in to the convenient or the comfortable or the whim. Indulgent in this, indulgent in that. And so I feel like I've been a work in progress all my life, and I feel like I'm making huge strides. So what do I take from that? Like I said, I'm 62 years old. I feel like I'm just starting. And so the age is just a number. Um, people, Getting old is optional. I say that too. And what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is your life is what you frame it to be. So I'm just starting this enterprise now. It makes me feel like I've got 20 or 30 years in front of me of
Yes.
like this this new thing that I'm trying to bring into the world. So that's sort of the answer to your question is um, trying to see this make a difference for lots and lots of people and move the needle and whatever it's going to be. It's not going to just be me. I'm just taking what I've learned, putting together. I'm a unique person that only I could do this, and I'm doing it, and there it goes, and we'll see what kind of impact it has. But if I've already impacted a few, so I feel like I'm already successful. So I just,
Yes.
how high can this go? That's the question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Tom, is there anything that keeps you up at night, or do you sleep well?
I sleep pretty well when I'm up at night, and there are nights that I'm not sleeping, but it's never fitful, or it's never because if I'm not falling asleep, it's because my brain won't shut off, and so I might read or watch a video or listen. A lot of times, if I just listen to somebody talking on a topic, that'll sort of get me going down, and sometimes it's fueling it. It's like gives me
You're like, oh,
ideas.
I would, yeah.
Yeah, but no, I'm in a place in my life that I've been able to to deal with all the sort of struggles and things are a pretty good place. My kids are young adults that are happy and on a trajectory that I feel like they're successful in life as far as becoming themselves and I have a very good relationship with my wife. So and financially we're not hurting. There's all these sorts of things where the boxes of the journey have been sort of checked. So we're in a place now where I'm just trying to uh, kind of highlight the path for people and I'm not saying that I'm at the end. I'm a work in progress. I have on my board over here on the other side of the camera the 2024 word of the year is discipline. And so what that means is no games, structure, and diligence. And I had to do that because my pattern in the past was I'd have like games on on my phone, and I'd be sitting there, and I get roped into these things, and I'd be bleeding time and energy, and it's like, why am I doing this? This has no significance at all. It's just a pattern, a way of sort of getting a little dopamine hit, maybe. Um, that that I decided, you know what, that doesn't have a place in my future. So I share that because I'm saying, I'm not trying to put myself up there as I've accomplished something that that I'm done. I'm a work in progress, just like anybody else. That's my priority right now. I took the games all off my phone. I haven't played one this year yet. So it's, so and I don't really even have the desire to actually do it anymore, honestly.
Yeah.
Uh, so I say that because change is possible. I used to be a chocoholic. I'd say, I have to have chocolate, and I've gone months without chocolate, and I can do it again. And it's like it's not that big a deal. So, you can overcome these things when they become important to you. So people that are worried about their habits or change, You can get there. It might seem super hard, but it starts. I call them the SIAs, those sustained incremental actions, just
Sustainable
the little
incremental
things
action.
over
Mm.
time. That's where the power is. So
Yeah.
that's what I'll say.
Last question, Tom. If you could
Mhm.
create a quote right now to leave to the audience listening and the world as your legacy, what would it be?
The create a what? I didn't quite catch
The quote. A quote. If you could create a
the
quote.
quote,
Yeah.
the
Quote.
quote. Make your business becoming the most fully expressed version of yourself.
And that is my intention this year. Authentic, discipline, and commitment as well. You just said it. I I pictured it like, okay, hashtag authentic, hashtag discipline, hashtag commitment.
Be the most
Brilliant, Tom.
fully expressed version of yourself. If you're doing that, you're good. You're going to be good.
Yeah.
Other people around you're going to be good. And life, the clouds will part. Life will get better. Yeah, there's problems. There's problems. Some of those problems are going to hit you in the face too. But as far as the things you can control, get on that track and your story will improve and you will have positive ripple effects around you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom. Thank you so much, Tom, for your time. I
My
guess that
pleasure.
that wraps up our interview beautifully. You're doing great work, Tom, and I just want to thank you for all the thing that you're doing. So you kept on saying you're 62, but I feel like you're just starting. So it's like you've got way ahead of you, and right now it gives me so much hope that you know what. I was just editing a podcast episode for a previous guest, and he was like, "You're not 8 years late. You're 5 years early." So
Mm,
even right now, it's like you're 10 years, 20 years early. So just do it, Nicolette.
that's it. Yeah, I mean, you're really walking into those waters. I did it many years ago. The last actual job I had was in 1994, so
Wow.
that's the last time I had an employer. So,
And you're
so
all right. It's 20
yeah,
years
you'll be all right.
after that. Yeah.
You'll be all right. You'll be all right. Yeah, you'll find your way. You'll be all right. I love your spirit. Y- keep that smile. Keep that giving energy. Find your tribe. Find people that you align with. Um, don't try to do it all by yourself. Those are my advices to you. Get your team, get your people that are with you. Whether it's somebody you're hiring or a resource that you're using or even a friend or we have a relationship now. It all counts. It's all in your orbit, and I'd say leverage those kinds of things, and you're just going to be totally fine.
Thank you. I think this is just what I needed today.
Oh, I'm
Thank you,
glad.
Tom.
My pleasure. Such a pleasure to meet you, Nicolette.
Likewise, same,
If
Tom.
you hey, if you need to stay in touch too,
Yeah.
you got my email and that kind of thing. If you want my phone number, I'll give you that.
Yeah, we'll do that through LinkedIn,
That's
through
fine. Yeah,
email.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Thank you so
Okay.
much, Tom. You have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Be well.
Be well. Thank
Mhm.
you.
Our big fame, people come here for Gettysburg is a big attraction. So to visit those.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Hershey's is Hershey, Pennsylvania's called
Hershey's.
Hershey Park,
Okay.
and Hershey is a big thing. So the chocolate capital of the world. Uh, and Amish country and down in Lancaster. So a lot of people visit the Amish. You familiar with Amish?
Amish. No, I think I've
Uh,
heard of
Am,
it. So yeah. But what is
Amish
it?
people live. They don't adopt modern lifestyle. So they live the way that people have lived for a long, long time. So people like to visit them because it's a look at how the world used to be, and they do crafts and
Oh,
the culture that people like to. They have certain foods and culture that they like to visit and get it. So those are the big three attractions where and
okay. Well, thank you for pitching. I'll include that.
you're in Kuala Lumpur, is that right?
That's right. Malaysia. Yes. Have you visited
Awesome.
Asia before?
I have not been to Asia at all in my life.
Okay. Well, there's always time. So, shall we start?
Sure, absolutely. Whenever you're ready.
All right.